welcome to Regency Run Bluffers. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to talk about the different variations on God Save the King that appear in the Austen music collection. There are actually 4 in all, and they're all very different. I'm going to put the full versions of each of them onto separate videos so that you can watch them all properly. This is just by way of introduction. The first one is by an English composer, John Wattlin, who wrote a very patriotic piece. He starts off with a very recognisable God Save the King, as it would have been in Regency times. But then he takes it through a number of different variations. So his piece is called Variations on God Save the King. Second one. So lots of semiquavers going on there. There are various different other versions he tries, but probably the most interesting one is this one. Don't think you'll hear that one at the Olympics. The second of the 4 different versions is to be found in Jane Austen's own handwriting, and it's actually a very, very short extract, just a few bars, from the beginning of a concerto by J.C. Bach, so that's the London Bach, Johann Christian Bach. But she did actually copy it out by hand, so there must have been a reason why this really appealed to her. It was actually written by J.C. Bach when he just settled in London and was starting to teach Queen Charlotte, so it may be that he wanted to make sure the royal family understood how important he thought they were. The final movement of Opus 1 No. 6 consists solely of variations on God Save the King. Starts off with the conventional tune, but then this is where J.C. Bach decides to take it next. So I think a very, very pretty version, but very, very short. She's only copied out a single page in her manuscript book. The next one we come across, very, very different, completely different. It's a complete sonata by Kramer, which of course is the only composer that Jane Austen mentions in any of her work, so must have been an important composer for her. He's written a sonata, but embeds God Save the King right in the middle. So at the beginning of the sonata, you wouldn't dream it was going to turn into God Save the King. This is how it starts. "34 bars later on, we then come across into God Save the King by that point, but then he takes it off again in various different directions, different keys, and it's a very, very pretty, fairly lengthy piece of music compared with the others. The 4th one, well, what a tour de force. A very, very unusual piece of music. This is a copy from 1815, and it's by a chap called Cotswara. If you're ever at a loose end and want to Google how Cotswara came to a very sticky end, it's worth following up. But anyway, in this particular piece, he chose to embed, again, as with Kramer, God Save the King, but during the Battle of Prague. Now, he starts off with the word of command, the bugle horn call for the cavalry, and then takes us all the way through the battle. Right-hand Prussians, left-hand Imperialists, cannon fire going on, running bullets, just about everything goes on in this piece. Until finally, by the time we've got to page 6, we come across, first of all, the cries of the wounded, then the trumpet of victory, and finally God Save the King, who was, of course, King Frederick. It wasn't the British God Save the King at this point. We were talking about the successful king in the battle. But again, very recognisable. So there we are, 4 very different takes on God Save the King. We've put complete versions of all of them onto YouTube, so you can dip in and out of trying out whichever one you fancy. Thank you very, very much indeed for joining us, and we hope to see you again. Bye!